Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. Today we have lots to discuss ranging from The Mandalorian to The Acolyte and even Andor Season 2. Insider Jeff Snyder has just unveiled some massive tidbits regarding the future of Lucasfilm and what really went down with The Acolyte's cancellation. Let's get into it. For one thing, he confirms The Acolyte was cancelled because of low viewership, nothing else. And contrary to some recent fan speculation, no, they're not going to remove it from Disney+. But one of the biggest details from this new piece is that Keanu Reeves was originally going to play Jedi Master Sol and not Lee Jung-jae, and it reportedly didn't happen because of scheduling. Jeff Snyder also confirms Lucasfilm is still interested in casting him for an upcoming project. Who knows, there's a chance he might play the Prime Jedi, the first ever Jedi, in James Mangold's movie. There have been calls to cast him in Star Wars for years, with many fans thinking he'd do best as a live-action Revan. But in the context of The Acolyte and the High Republic, the lingering question remains, were we robbed? Lee Jung-jae did fantastic as Jedi Master Sol. He had some moments of brilliance, a very versatile actor who was able to convey emotions of a well-trained, respected Jedi Master perfectly. But I also think Keanu Reeves would have brought a different dimension to the role. And that's why I'm hopeful with what Jeff Snyder said, that Lucasfilm is still considering him for a different role in something else. Not only is he well skilled in martial arts, as seen in the John Wick series, in The Matrix, his ability to perform intricate fight scenes would translate perfectly into lightsaber duels and combat scenes. Not to mention his stoic persona. And when you're talking about a Jedi Master like Sol or someone adjacent, having a calm, enigmatic, thoughtful demeanor, Keanu would be naturally suited, a more introspective presence, and let's be honest, epic. His style of acting would lend itself to portraying a wise Jedi, but even, on the other side of it, an anti-hero or a conflicted Sith. Not to mention Reeves is beloved, an amazing human being, and many Star Wars fans would absolutely jump at the opportunity to see him in a show or film. Given these factors, and so many others, we can only hope, despite not getting the role for The Acolyte due to scheduling, he is still in talks with Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm. But, as you might imagine, not every Star Wars fan agrees. There are two very interesting perspectives I've seen. The first is that Keanu dodged a bullet. It might have been the worst career decision he ever made, starring in what is being considered one of the biggest disasters of the franchise from a viewership and reception perspective. And it's actually a good thing that if he's going to be in Star Wars, it's going to be in a different project to this one. And the second popular opinion is that Star Wars doesn't need more familiar faces. He's too much of a big, familiar contemporary face that it might be too distracting. I would argue the counter to this is that Star Wars has always had familiar faces, and in recent times, we've had the likes of Lizzo and Jack Black. Not that they were good decisions, but I'm just pointing it out. And keep in mind Sigourney Weaver is rumoured for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And there was a recent rumour that for an upcoming Star Wars movie there is going to be a pop singer that is well known. Speculation ran amok. This might be Lady Gaga. I don't know. I think Keanu is a fantastic actor, and it would all depend on the context. But while we're on the subject of The Acolyte, a couple of cast members have spoken up and shared their thoughts on the cancellation. Beginning with Lee Jung-jae, he said, "Personally speaking, I really love Leslie's writing. I thought she was a great writer and director who was very talented in the storytelling, as well as creating characters and creating meaningful structures within the story. So I was actually very excited to watch Season 2 with her at the helm." Although he acknowledges because his character Sol died in the first season he couldn't be in Season 2, he said this, "Honestly, I'm hoping that maybe there could be some changes in the future, because you never know what's going to happen." He seems to think it's a possibility Disney's going to reverse the decision, but they've been completely silent throughout all of this. Then there is Rebecca Henderson, Leslie Edlund's wife, Vanessa Rowe. While she didn't respond or comment directly, she reposted clippings like the Rolling Stone story we spoke about in my last video. So naturally, she didn't take the cancellation lightly. As for Manny Jacinto, he was deeply saddened by the cancellation, but was mostly grateful for the opportunity to star in the first season. Jeff Snyder also confirms that Pedro Pascal will be filming scenes for The Mandalorian and Grogu later on this year. Pretty exciting. almost guaranteeing we're gonna have some helmetless Din Djarin scenes. There were rumours, and now it seems like it's more or less confirmed. But the more I thought about the upcoming movie, the more I realised how different it's gonna feel compared to the TV show. Not just because it's being adapted for the big screen instead of just the TV format, but more in regards to things we're never gonna see again. I've been seeing more and more Mandalorian fans saying how the show just feels different to the original first 2 seasons, and I think a major part of that is that some of Din Djarin's allies are never going to be seen again, unless they recast. As we know, for Season 3 Cara Dune was written out of the show. That is due to IRL reasons concerning Gina Carano, but now for the 3rd season, it is so tragic we don't have Carl Weathers as Grief Karga, so some of Mando's original friends, original allies on Navarro, are no longer part of this era, and in the case of Carl Weathers, it's just going to change the whole dynamic. I think they were a dream team. In Chapter 12 The Siege, their chemistry was outstanding, and he's going to be sorely missed. They could obviously recast, but I think it's best if they just leave the legacy with Carl, erect a statue of him on Navarro, and respect the character's legacy like that. It's a painful truth when you go back and rewatch the first 2 seasons. Strong characters, strong allies, gone. Nonetheless, I'm still very hopeful. We're in for a very fun movie. But moving on, I was doing some thinking about the cancellation of the Acolyte, and it just makes me thankful that the Andor show is going to have a proper conclusion because they scrapped the 5-season arc in lieu of 2. Now don't get me wrong, I would have loved to have seen 5, even more seasons of the Rogue One prequel, but considering Lucasfilm have put out a very strong statement that low viewership is now going to signal cancellations for future projects. Had this been the philosophy for Andor Season 1, which also suffered low viewership, they may have scrapped it. But the difference is, Andor was critically acclaimed, and the quality between the 2 shows cannot be compared. That being said, I do think there is an argument to be made that, had the 2nd season not been pre-planned in advance and gone into production as fast as it did, we may never have seen a Season 2. So essentially the 2nd season entered production not long after the first finished airing, and so in a spell of luck and fate, Lucasfilm really didn't have a chance to cancel it after the low viewership figures came out. But like I say, viewership does not equate to quality, and even though there were fans who were saying Andor isn't their kind of Star Wars, it wasn't really for them, it was nowhere near as controversial as The Acolyte. What do you guys think? Share your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.